Hi friends, Carl here with another episode of Calm Survival. And today we're taking a quick look at what we're going to cook in, being a little bit more specific on a few things for you to think about. First aspect that we're going to look at is the material. So I've got titanium, aluminum, and stainless steel. Now, advantage-wise, titanium is very light, it's very durable. Disadvantage, it is very expensive and very hard to cook in. Aluminum, advantages, it's very cheap, it's pretty durable, it's pretty easy to cook in. Disadvantages, people can have opinions about it, and if you have raw aluminum like this where it doesn't have much of a coating, it can be a bit sticky if you're not careful with it, but overall it works quite well. And then we've got stainless steel. Now, often with the stainless steel, it's probably going to be cheaper. It's very durable. It is the heaviest option. And depending on what we're doing, that may or may not matter. And these are all uncoated. Now, if we were just thinking about our home cooking backup option, then our home cooking backup option is probably just our normal at-home cooking pot. If we're thinking about having to potentially evacuate, which isn't something everybody wants to think about, but if where you live has bushfires or earthquakes or hurricanes, it is definitely a possibility. Having a much more capable traveling set is something that you probably want to consider. Now, we're probably used to at home with our nice non-stick cooking surfaces. You can get these kind of camping pots with a non-stick type coating. It's going to be a little bit different because it's designed to handle a lot more heat. So it's usually more like a hard anodized coating or a very simple baked enamel kind of finish compared to our nice Teflon. So it's going to give us some of the advantages, some non-stick, but it's not going to be quite the same. Because when we talked in our stove episode, a lot of times our heat is much more focused than it would be on our cooktop at home. That's the reason why. Now, with our various cooking methods, titanium, you can actually see on the bottom of this one, there's a little bit of a pattern on the bottom. Titanium is very sticky and hard to cook in, and that was rice that was burned before the water boiled. Just because of the way the heat gets transferred into the titanium, it doesn't really transfer around in the titanium very much and kind of ends up coming through in a very hard hot spot. Titanium's tricky to cook in. Aluminum, everybody likes it. It distributes heat really, really well. You can see our other video where we show you what happens if you leave it on the heat too long. And then obviously with stainless steel, it's just going to take abuse. You can just beat on it all day. High heat, burning food, it isn't really going to matter. Next, we're going to look at handles. It's a big deal. These style or a similar style of pot grip is very, very common in a lot of camping and backpacking stoves. Why carry more than you have to? If you only ever need one handle at a time, only carry one. That may not be the case for you. So we've got a bail handle on this one. Very effective for hanging the pot over a fire. That's not something you can do with a handleless pot style. And then you've got stick out handles like this. Downside to them is that they can be a little bit difficult, especially on a pan this size. Your hands are right next to the heat. They do kind of weeble wobble a little bit. On this, they work a little bit better. I've wrapped this with silicone tape just because the heat comes from the stove up the side and heats the handles. But if you had a glove, it would do the same thing. And last, lids. Now, lids that double as frying pans seem like a fantastic idea until you go to use one. They're either a good lid or like this one actually seals up pretty reasonably. This one tends to just fall off. You know, you can make them work, you can get interesting with them, but ultimately, I don't know that having the frying pan as a piece and taking the extra weight is an advantage over just having a lid. Up to you. You need a lid though. You need a lid. You're wasting effort, you're wasting fuel, you're wasting time if you don't have a lid. Also, in a small pot like this, the amount that you'll lose to evaporation is much higher than your big pots that you're used to cooking with at home. So that's something to take into consideration. So a lid is much more important than you'd be otherwise used to. As far as size, this one is about 0.8 of a liter. That's my one-person cooking size. Any smaller than that, I find really difficult to cook any reasonable amount in it, unless you're just boiling water for a dehydrated bag meal. 1.5 liters is about good for 2 people. The Trangia set, as we said, has usually 2 1.5 liter pots in the larger size, and that'll handle 4 people. You know, do rice in one, do sauce in the other. And then obviously pots get much bigger. I've made a curry for 6 in this guy. So it just depends on how many people you're planning on cooking for, and obviously how much weight then you're going to want to have as part of your kit. And that will come back to the rest of your plan. If you're using it for evacuation, are you evacuating with a vehicle? Are you evacuating on foot? What is the total plan? Only you have that information. So hopefully this just means that when you look at a camping gear website, you're not completely overwhelmed by all the options. There's 1,001 options. Remember, if you make too many compromises, it'll be good at nothing. And if you get too specialized, it won't be good at anything else. So, think it through, decide what you think is going to be best. And to be honest, you're probably going to be right, because you're just going to make it, work. All right, this has been Carl with Calm Survival. See you guys again next time.